Thank you.
So thank you for that, Rima. So as just to reiterate what Sarah had mentioned about partnership, um, you know, we tend to forget in the heat of the moment that our bus drivers, our bus matrons, our bus attendants, our parents as well. And 9 times out of 10, they have children in the New York school systems receiving IEP services also. And thanks to parents like Sarah who started PIST, she really revolutionized what partnerships can look like when it comes to school transportation. And she brought Nicko Hedges to us tonight. Having access to someone like Nicko is integral to this discussion because he represents the drivers and the bus attendants and their struggle, you know, trying to hold their employees accountable. When we talk about different contracts and accountability, that's part of the repercussions when service isn't implemented well. And as a result of decisions that were made almost 20 years ago by a mayor and by a governor to remove employment protection provisions from the contracts, we are seeing an unexplainable turnover in this particular area of employment when it comes to bus drivers and bus attendants. And we know how crucial they are in the mechanisms that we need in order to get our children safely to school. So I want to acknowledge Nicko and give him the floor to talk about the challenges he's seeing, you know, on the ground within his union, and to talk about the strides that they're trying to make a more inclusive and equitable environment for employment, for sustainable employment, because we don't want to continue hiring new bus drivers and new bus attendants that we have to train over and over and over again. So Nicko, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paullette. I appreciate the promotion that you gave me. I'm on the executive board. I am not the leader of the union, but I would be happy to give you my presentation. I was a school bus driver for 40 years. I'm now on the executive board for the last 2 years. Our union represents the majority of the bus runs serving New York City Department of Education, while several other unions represent different companies. Our local is central to the city's school bus operations. One key issue we are facing is driver shortages. Recruitment remains a critical challenge, and we believe all the companies serving the New York City Department of Education should actively engage in addressing this by offering hiring bonuses, hosting job fairs, establishing apprenticeship programs for high school seniors for both driver and mechanic positions. We at Local 1181 are ready to support any recruitment efforts proposed by these companies. Additionally, we have advocated for lowering the age requirement to obtain a CDL driver's license, making it easier to bring new drivers into the workforce. We also want to express strong opposition to using rideshare services to transport school children. School bus drivers undergo comprehensive background checks, receive specific training, and are subject to random drug testing. These safety protocols are not guaranteed with rideshare drivers, and student safety should never be compromised. The VIA system, while promising, still has issues. The technology has potential, but glitches remain. Drivers have reported difficulties with signing in and coverage issues that can cause the device to lose connection. These need to be addressed before VIA can be fully reliable. On the topic of electric buses, EVs are indeed the future, but they present significant challenges in our industry. The current range of an electric bus is insufficient for a typical day's demand, which typically involve AM run, midday trip, and a PM run. Other obstacles include the extra weight of the batteries, the need for specialized high voltage training for mechanics, and the lack of charging infrastructure, along with the time it takes to charge these vehicles. Lastly, I'd like to raise concern about the upcoming oversight hearing to discuss rebidding the bus contracts. Rebidding without employee protections will set us back 10 years. We're still recovering from the last time contracts were awarded without these safeguards. We cannot afford to repeat that situation. Ensuring the most experienced bus workers must be a priority. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for that, Nicko. Really appreciate the partnership and being able to have the access that you've been giving parents and transportation advocates. And when you talk about the electrified progress that contractually the state is requiring all school buses to be electrified by 2030, that's only 5 years away. So, we're so incredibly grateful to have that partnership with the ATU, and to have bus drivers and bus attendants also amplifying the need that we need to have a greener solution when it comes to transporting our students, and having an action plan in place in order to address that. It doesn't make sense for us to electrify the entire fleet and then we don't have enough charging stations to charge our buses, right? So looking forward to continued partnership. For our attendees in the space tonight, if you have a community member, if you have a neighbor, if you have family who used to drive commercial vehicles, tell them, what better way to spend their day than transporting children back and forth to school. Have them apply. If they are a retiree, we definitely need more bus matrons and bus attendants. They're a crucial component. It's also a great way to get first aid certified. The company pays for that, and the more people we have first aid certified across the country, the better we can be responsive in times of emergency, right? Help thy neighbor out. But there's opportunities out there. And when we are in an environment where our city has residents struggling to put food on their table and losing jobs left and right, becoming a bus driver is an honorable and hopefully sustainable path to employment. So I just wanted to put that out there and have that in the back of your head, that when you're thinking about like that bus not showing up for the third day in a row, think about who you could recruit to start driving that bus, someone that you can trust, so that you have that person that you can go to when things happen in this particular order. So thank you so much, Nicko,
Thank you.
for sharing this time with us and being with us in community. Now I'm going to throw it over to another wonderful partner in this space, in this fight, and that is our CEO of NYCSBUS, Matt Berlin. He was formerly a director of OPT many generations ago, so he knows where all the bodies are buried. And he takes that historical knowledge and context and brings it to a school bus vendor who is responsive, who understands the bureaucracy that keeps us from getting our reimbursements and our routes and things of that nature. And he's trying to find concrete solutions in partnership with parents, because Matt meets with us all the time. And that way he can in turn bring those services to our children directly. He's not the largest vendor within our school system, unfortunately, but we are hoping that, with the efforts he's making to electrify the bus, that we will have more buses under NYCSBUS, that we can serve more routes and get the service that our children deserve. So Matt, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. And I think Sarah, I don't know. I feel like I should get some credit as one of the founders of PIST, but not in a good way. Because I think when I ran OPT is part of what caused PIST to be formed. So I just wanted to share a little picture of, so I wanted to just give you a quick update about what we're doing at NYCSBUS. We're a nonprofit bus company. We operate 766 bus routes. We have depots in all boroughs except for Manhattan. We're organized by the union Nicko represents, the Amalgamated Transit Union. Just quickly looking at this picture. So we currently operate 6 electric buses, and we have another 21 that are arriving in the next few weeks. This is just some training on one of them. I just figured I'd show a little picture. They are, they're great. They've been operating terrifically. What's nice about them is they're quiet and they're clean. It is true, one of the things Nicko brings up, some of these early generations have less range, so we have to run them on shorter routes. But the technology is changing so quickly that the buses that we buy next year are going to have double the range. So we're doing a lot to electrify. It's really very, very exciting. We're sort of one of the leaders in the state on that. I also wanted to talk for a moment about hiring. So we are, Nicko, as you mentioned, we are hiring. We do a lot of town hall meetings. We're out at a lot of job fairs. We offer so I think, Paullette, you're exactly right. Like, driving a bus is an honorable job. It's really a great, first of all, it's a good job, right? It's a good union job. It's tough work. You got to show up early and you get there late, but there's a pension, there's great health insurance, and we'd love to talk to anyone who's interested in that job. Best place to do is go to NYCSBUS.com. There's a link right there to join us. We offer full training, and we offer a $5,000 sign-on bonus. So we're really, and if you all, Sarah, I know, has sent us some thoughts about places we can recruit. We'd love to have some ideas about recruiting. And finally, I just wanted to mention, we're also trying to work more with kids in District 75 programs. A lot of work to do in our depots. And we're currently serving as a work site in one depot. We had another work site at another depot, and then a fabulous person that ran it left. She moved to Connecticut. So we've had some trouble restarting that. But we are getting kids who are working in our shops. They're working in our offices. We'd like to expand that program. And frankly, one of the challenges we have around that is having someone coordinate it. So we think a much better job is being a school bus driver or maybe a mechanic, but we are frankly also looking for some advice, maybe hate to say the word consultant, someone maybe who's a retired teacher, has some expertise in education to help us set up a real education program. Because right now, Paullette, you've met, Sean and Melissa are great, but sort of while they're also processing payroll, they're running sort of the program for D75 kids, which is lovely, but we really need to build a much better program. So anyway, we're doing a lot with electrification, really happy to share more of that. We'd love to hire drivers. Go to NYCSBUS.com and please let us know how to do that. And frankly, we're looking for someone to help us build out our education program, and happy to talk about more things as well.
Thank you for that, Matt. There's been a request in the chat for you to post where they can find open positions and hiring information for NYCSBUS. So if there's something on your website already that delineates the jobs that are available, thank you, Matt. So for those of you who are already thinking about someone who would be a great candidate, NYCSBUS is hiring. That is the link that Matt had just put into the chat. Spread that word around. Let us know, if they were able to start, employment through this particular town hall. We'd love to hear that. Also, Matt and NYCSBUS has been an incredible partner in terms of finding pathways to employment for our students with disabilities, for our students that are overaged and undercredited. Unfortunately, a lot of these union jobs, you need to have at least a local diploma or a high school diploma in order to qualify, or a GED. And with our D75 children specifically, they're alternately assessed. So to be able to have a pathway to become a mechanic or a shop steward or a dispatcher, or just to work in the garages themselves for our District 75 children was an idea that we had brought to Matt, and he said absolutely. He even sends the buses to pick up the kids who are part of the program and buses them to the various depots across the boroughs so that they can get there and do their work-based learning and come back, and hopefully within a year or two come out having the apprenticeship already done to become a shop steward in the garage. These are the opportunities that we're talking about. These are the partners that we continue to need. And, as we amplify that and we work together to find other solutions, we want to be able to share that out with our families as well, letting these opportunities are possible for our children, whether they're in District 75, whether they're in District 79, whether they were formerly incarcerated, whether they're in temporary housing, whether they are just struggling just to get to high school and to finish it out. There are other opportunities out there. There are different pathways to success, and partners, like Matt and like Nicko, who are bringing to us opportunities, for further employment for our children is part of closing that loop as well. So with that being said, I want to amplify some things that we can do legislatively, collectively. I had already talked a little bit about the Where's Our Bus, Where's My Bus campaign that we're doing nationally to put pressure onto the Office of Civil Rights in order for them to respond to us. But there's local advocacy that we're doing as well. On September 30th, our council member Rita Joseph, who chairs the City Council Committee for Education, is holding a hearing on student transportation and ridership contracts. This is a very important date because there are two bills that are being introduced, one by Council Member Kevin Riley and one by Council Member Justin Brennan about bus accountability. I don't want to read all of it out, but I am going to put it into the chat for those who want to learn a little bit more about it. The hearing is at 9 a.m., I believe. And this is the information about where you can register to testify. If you can't testify in person, they do testimony virtually. You can also submit testimony in writing. I encourage you, if you are seeing major disruption of in bus service in your school alone, and you happen to be PTA or just an active parent in your community, start thinking about doing like a letter writing campaign. Think about drafting a template that you can share out with families and they can submit testimony, and it's all a very consecutive messaging. These are the things that actually grab attention when it comes to what our elected officials are seeing. The two new bills that are going to be introduced at the hearing, one of them is around the Department of Education reporting on school bus transportation service employees. So like what their hiring practices are, how are they retaining them? What are they doing to recruit? And then Councilmember Riley's resolution is calling on the state legislature to pass, and for the governor to pass legislation on all school buses operating within the state, regardless of seat capacity, to have the stop arm on each side of the bus. It's such a simple ask, and it would save so many lives, but nobody's enforcing it. So the only way that we know how to enforce things like that is to put it into law. So this was done in collaboration with these two amazing council members, and then with Council Member Rita Joseph herself. She is a parent of District 75 children. She was a former teacher in East Flatbush until she was elected. So she is one of us. And she's holding this hearing because she is sick and tired of having OPT just pay them lip service about why they can't seem to get service in time, why rideshare doesn't work, why parents are waiting over a year for their reimbursements. She's going to continue putting their feet to the fire. So if you are able to join in person, please do. It's on September 30th. I put all of the links inside the chat. Hopefully you could see that. And if you can't, please let me know. And honestly, the more voices that we have out there, just like we have over 200 people in our room today, if we could pack that city council room, and it's probably going to be a long one. It's probably going to go like to 4 or 5 o'clock into the evening. So if you can't make it at 10, that's okay. Go after school. Testify virtually. Make sure that your children have an opportunity to testify, because honestly, we need to remind our elected officials, those who are, in charge of contracts and funding and implementation and oversight, who it is that we're fighting for. What is the human impact? Our kid can't get to school. Listen to my child tell you what it means to him when he can't get to school. And that's why we want to amplify these things. Also, just as a update, we have partnered with the New York Controller's office. Brad Landers is our controller. All contracts have to go through his office. And for the first time in 30 years, Brad has opened up the contracts for busing to new vendors. That has not happened in over 30 years. So that is also going to encourage new companies, such as there's a green company in Queens that was started by parents who have already an electrified bus fleet. They will be able to open up bid on these contracts, whereas they couldn't before. And also in conjunction with his office, he is doing an audit on school transportation in general, in terms of the service, in terms of the contracts, in terms of compliance. Hopefully, knock on wood, that report will be available to the public in February, if not sooner. But for families who have been sharing their stories tonight, we will give you also an email address where you can share these stories with the controller's office as well. His auditors are continually gathering feedback and stories and instances in order to see the different patterns that are emerging in their audit. So there's still a lot of time for us to be able to contribute our stories to this particular report. And hopefully with the support of the controller's office, we can have even more accountability to reform some of the things that we're seeing here. Also at the state level, we have been in talks with different elected officials at the state to grandfather in limited travel time. Because as of right now, as many of our parents have said in the chat, we are constantly having to reapply every year on our IEP to ask for limited travel time and for climate controlled buses. I mean, in this day and age, in 2024, on the verge of 2025, it boggles my mind how the only way we can get an air conditioned bus is if we put it on our IEP. That's a travesty. So again, you know, we can't make it happen unless it's grandfathered into law. So we are working with a number of state electeds at both Assembly and the state Senate to pass a law to allow for a parent who has limited travel time and climate control on their IEP to have that grandfathered in every IEP, and it's up to the parent to remove it. It's not up to the school. I think that'll ease a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, because even with the start of school, there's a lot of our families who are still waiting for the limited time travel to be approved on their IEP, even though it was approved the year before and the year before that. We have parents who are already saying in the chat that their limited time travel is being violated because their child is traveling over 3 hours each way back and forth to school. So if we can get this legislation passed at the state level, we can definitely have more power in general to put the pressure on the DOE to hold these routes and to be more mindful in terms of creating these routes. You know, I'm not a dispatcher. Rima's not a dispatcher, but we know that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So, you know, when we are asking our partners, why is this route stopping in 4 different neighborhoods before it reaches my child's school? We can't get an answer. And that's unacceptable, because in this day and age, when we have all this technology and we have OPT spending over $19 million on a call center to just like kind of play, you know, that Spider-Man meme where it's like all the different Spider-Mans are pointing to different people. That was $19 million spent having parents run in circles on who is accountable in terms of getting my child to school. And that $19 million could have been spent so much more wisely in terms of just being comprehensive in terms of routing. If we can limit the number of neighborhoods that needs to be hit on one route, we can get our kids to school faster. I mean, that's just me speculating, but I mean, I know we've had this conversation with a lot of our partners, and it makes a lot of sense. And we don't understand why that is not the approach given to our children. That being said, I do believe that there's one more person that we are going to throw things over to learn a little bit more.
I think it's me.
I think it's you. I think it's you too. Okay, my friend, take it away.
Are you ready, Sarah? Because I actually wanted to share something.
Oh, okay, yeah. Especially if it's about jobs and electric and
So I
Go for
wish it was, but that's you. But I'm gonna share something people are asking for, which is, so people are asking to put the information about the hearing on September 30th. And I actually have a really cool document. I'm gonna share my screen. I don't want to share my screen because it keeps knocking the interpreters to tiny boxes. I'll share for 1 minute and then
Yeah.
I'll take
I'm
it off.
trying to put it in and it's not letting me put it in the link and it's driving me bananas. Sorry.
That's fine. We'll manage it. All right, so let me just get this box out. Okay, yeah, now we're having an issue. So I'm gonna download this while Sarah talks, but it's a guidance from AFC, Advocates for Children, on how to sign up to testify for the 30th and tips on testifying. So it's a 3-page document and it'll give you everything you need to know about how to participate. I'll try to download it and drop it in the chat. Back to Sarah.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank all of the 177 that are still